Hi, Sam, can you hear me? Hi, Sam, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Sam? How about now? Can you hear us? No. Oh, wait, can you hear us now? No, I think she's frozen. Oh, no, she's not. Yes, you're right.
Oh, that's good.
I was like, that is a perfect statuesque.
That is funny.
Anything?
I'm just helping them testing
Oh.
something. Yeah, 2
We
seconds.
can hear her.
We'll need to hear Nancy.
Yeah, so I need to make sure that it works.
Anything now?
Yeah, you're my favorite. The side covers. Yeah. Exactly. Everybody's quiet. Carol has a mic.
That's right. Any luck, Mel?
I think we can hear them because I can hear them moving around.
Okay.
Sam can't hear us. Well, she's saying nothing here.
What did we do last time to fix that?
It's been fixed. It was my
Oh,
No, I can hear you.
Oh, okay,
oh, Mike can hear us?
perfect. Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Okay,
Excellent.
we're good. Can you thank Sam for hopping on too? Thank
So
you,
Mike can-
Michael.
Mike can
Thank
hear
you,
us.
You're
Sam.
welcome.
What about Nancy?
We're waiting for her, I think. We're still 4 minutes.
Okay.
Technically, so I think we're just testing. And we'll test Nancy.
Want some water? Yeah, grab some.
No, I'm good, thanks. Hi, Nancy, can you hear us?
Can hear you.
Perfect, we can hear you, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I now call this meeting to order. It is 2:30. As everyone knows, or you might have noticed as soon as you walked in the room, we do have a new face. We're very, very grateful and happy and all of those emotions to have Deputy Chief Reynolds filling in. As everyone knows, Deputy Chief Betts accepted a position as chief in Peterborough, and we're so lucky that Deputy Chief Reynolds decided to step in. I know that it's a difficult decision to put yourself in those shoes, and we are really eternally grateful. It's funny, I ran into the deputy chief a few days ago, and he was saying thank you to the board. I'm like, no, truly, the board it thanks you for stepping up. So welcome. We've been grilling Deputy Chief Reynolds all day, so I anticipate doing that during public session as well, just to really hone his skills quickly and get you right in. On a more sober note, since our last meeting, of course, we lost yet another officer in the line of duty, OPP officer, Constable Greg Pishoa. Truly a tragedy, killed in an ambush. Remembered, we've read these beautiful tributes to him, but he's remembered as humble, generous, funny, competent, by all accounts, really beautiful person. It feels like we've said this way too many times in the last few months, and particularly since September, but truly as a board, since we have the privilege of seeing what police members do every single day, we truly deeply feel every single one of these losses with you. And so the board again sends out its condolences to Officer Pishoa's family, his friends, his colleagues, the entire community, the entire policing community. It's just again highlighting the incredibly difficult job that our officers do every single day. And just a reminder that even the most routine calls are fraught with risk, and we really so very much appreciate everything you do on a daily basis. To try to lighten things up a little bit, because that's truly weighs heavily on all of us, we do have some good news to share. The province did announce an investment of 3.09, I should say. I'm not going to be a little upset if I said it's more than what it was, $3.09 million to support proactive crime reduction and public safety initiatives, which is great news. It's, I think, sorely needed. We also are just on the heels of Mayor Morgan's inspiring first State of the City address, the incredible announcement of this anonymous donation of $25 million. And as I'm sure everyone here knows, all of this fits in together. So when we see funds going into fighting poverty and homelessness and dealing with mental health, it absolutely ties into policing and the work that our officers do every day. So this donation is really exciting, and so it was exciting to be there for that incredible announcement. And I know that the board thanks you with your mayor role, because today you're here in your board role, but in your mayor role, I know the on behalf of the police, there's lots of gratitude for your support of the police service. As always, this meeting will be posted tomorrow on YouTube, so it's available for posterity. And with all of those housekeeping matters, I'll start the meeting with any disclosures of interest. Seeing none, we'll move right along. Introduction of new business. I know that there's one item, which is we'll be receiving a femicide update from you, Member Walker.
I have only the update around the meeting that is scheduled with the ministry, and
Okay.
that's all I've got.
Okay, perfect. So we will add that to the agenda. Is there any other new business items? Seeing none, can I have a motion to add just a quick update, femicide update from Member Walker as item number 18? Moved by the Vice Chair, seconded by Member Stevenson. Any opposed? And that carries. This is one of those moments we don't often get to be a part of as a board. So the next item on the agenda is the presentation of the Sovereign's Medal for Volunteers, and it's going to be given to Sergeant McGugan. Hope I got that right, your pronunciation. Okay, excellent. So Chief, I'll let you start. I want to make one little comment, but I want you to introduce Sergeant McGugan for us, please.
Thanks. Definitely one of the more pleasurable parts of the job. Sergeant Mark McGugan is in his 35th year with the London Police Service. During his career, he's worked in a variety of positions in our criminal investigation and uniform division. He's currently assigned as the supervisor on our crisis response unit, which includes our coast team, as you're all familiar with. Mark is here today and joined by his wife Shannon and his kids Ava and Cole. Must be a PD day.
Buses were canceled.
Buses were canceled, yeah. The Sovereign's Medal for Volunteers is a national award that recognizes the volunteer achievements of Canadians from across the country in a wide variety of fields. Within the Canadian honor system, the Sovereign's Medal is the highest honor for volunteer service that an individual can receive. Mark's nomination for this award centers around his work with the Law Enforcement Torch Run and the Special Olympics, for which he has served in a volunteer capacity for over 33 years. You may or may not know that the Torch Run is the largest public awareness and grassroots fundraising organization for Special Olympics in the world. Locally, the London Police Service has raised over $1.5 million since the inception of the Torch Run, largely due to the efforts of Mark and others like him who have cumulatively volunteered thousands of hours in raising awareness, organizing events, and most importantly, raising significant funds. Mark has held leadership positions at every rank and every level of the organization, right up to the national level. These positions include the Provincial Coordinator for Southern Ontario, Provincial Operations Committee member, and a Provincial Director for Ontario, where, thanks to his leadership, raised $3.3 million in Ontario in 2019, and Mark is currently a National Director. At the London Police Service, we place a high value on and promote volunteerism among our members. In that sense, Mark has been a role model and an exceptional leader. Without question, Mark has enriched the lives of Special Olympic athletes and their families. The Sovereign's Medal is a Canadian decoration intended to honor volunteers who have made a significant and sustained unpaid contribution to their community. Nominations are considered by an independent committee under the direction of the Governor-General of Canada. So on behalf of the Governor-General of Canada, Her Excellency, the Right Honourable Mary Simon, I am honoured to present Mark McGugan with the Sovereign's Medal for Volunteers. So if I could ask Mark to come forward into the corner for the presentation.
Want your family to take some pictures?
Yeah, all of you.
Yeah, the whole gang. Yeah.
Yeah. That's not the Irish Reservation to get to it too.
Aw.
Very nice.
Then just me.
Just the family. That's the winner.
Very nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Everyone's going to line up.
And don't forget to stay. Get other pictures. Or you can sit through the rest of the. If you're bored. What's that? I said, don't worry, you have to stay for the rest of the.
No, they do. That's part of the prize. You get to stay for the whole meeting.
That's good because we'll revolt.
Thank you.
Well, just really quickly, Sergeant. I know. Just one. Sorry, I'm going to delay your ice cream. I apologize. I just need to share this one story. I have managed to get through my entire life without ever getting near a bucket of ice cold water until you came along, and you. I want to say inspired, but I think the right word is challenged and almost kind of coerced, if I could use that term. And I was delighted to do so, and honestly never would have done it but for you, and I'm so glad I did. So thank you again for everything. Now you got it. You heard it here, board. No problem. Go get your ice cream.
That last part doesn't have to go in the minutes.
Can I have a motion? Thank you, everybody. Okay, so moving on to the minutes of the December 15th public meeting. Any questions, comments, concerns about the minutes? Seeing none, can I get a mover and seconder to adopt those minutes as presented? Moved by Member Lehman, seconded by Member Stevenson. Any opposed? Great, that carries. Next up, problem-oriented policing initiatives adequacy standard report. I know that always generates quite a bit of interest, so over to you, Deputy Chief Reynolds.
Try that again. Thank you very much, Chair, and through you. The problem-oriented policing report is in accordance with the London Police Service Board policy and adequacy standards of effectiveness. Attaches for the board's information is a summary of London Police Service's problem-oriented policing activities for 2022. It is recommended that the board receives this report. Pending any questions, of course.
Do I have any questions from board members? Go again. Go ahead, Member Walker.
Thanks for your report, Deputy Reynolds. I wanted to ask.
Megan, can you use your mic, please?
Oh, of course I can. I'm so sorry. I need to put a bell around this thing when it's time to go. So thank you very much for that presentation and for your inclusion of the report. I wanted to ask you specifically around the term problem, which for many individuals already feel like they're a problem to society. And then when it's listed in an official capacity around problem-oriented policing, it can create anxiety and stress for them. And I'm just wondering, I understand the term cannot be changed, but what is the background on that?
So the background on that, sorry, Chair, through you. The background of that is that is the actual term that is used in the provincial adequacy standards. And that is the term that the police are required to report back through the Police Services Board to the government in regards to what we've done. And the actual report is called problem-oriented policing. That term remains in effect today. I don't disagree with you that it's not maybe the appropriate term to use in every situation. However, right now that is the requirement by ourselves and the Police Services Board to report back using that term.
So I really appreciate that. I wonder if there's any opportunity to express concern to, the powers that be and just indicate that, it can be really problematic for victims, for those that police are going out to help. I'm not sure if there's another term that you can think of that might be more inclusive, but can I just leave that with you to think about? And if there's anything that the board could do perhaps to help raise awareness about the issue, we can bring that to the next meeting. Would that be okay?
That would be great.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
To add to that, in terms of timing, people may be aware that we've been waiting for the new Comprehensive Police Services Act, which has been several years in writing at least to come to force and effect. I understand that is happening definitively this year, or in hopefully at least by the fall. So there could be some opportunity there because, of course, it's the act that has the adequacy standards all been built in. So I don't know, Mr. Leclerc, if there's, is that something, do you think that there'd be value if the board communicated that?
I think there could be value in that, and I put a asterisk beside the comment, and I will be reporting that to my direct supervisor that you raised this as a concern.
So appreciative. Thank you so much.
Thank you for raising that, Member Walker. Any other questions, comments for the Deputy Chief? Vice Chair.
Thank you. So, thank you, Deputy Chief Reynolds. A quick question. When I was reading through your report, I think this proactive approach to this policing is fantastic. We've seen some of this during the COVID kind of time where we would have these virtual meetings with our physicians. And the one thing that jumped out to me of all the great initiatives was the Victims' Choice Reporting Pilot Project. And I was just more of a logistical question. So as long as it meets the threshold, it's non-emergency. How does somebody initiate that process? Is that something that's initiated on the police front? Is that initiated during the initial intake? Like how does somebody who may not know of the existence of this program avail themselves of that?
So that's a great question. Thank you, Chair, through you. So what would happen is a victim would call into the police service in regards to looking for help, looking for advice, looking to make a report. And each situation is obviously assessed on certain criteria that would be met. And based on that criteria, if it's suitable, then it will go over to the Victim Choice Reporting team. As you saw by the feedback, it's been very well received. And they will make contact out to the victim. Also, they can get referrals through our Criminal Investigation Division in regards to making contact with victims in those situations. Thank you.
Any other questions from any other members? Go ahead, Member Lehman.
Thank you. I just have a question regarding Project Shamrock. Can you tell me what was learned through that project? Obviously, the results show improvement in that area, and how the things learned in that project can be adopted in more of a long-term effect in this, or was that strictly a study, or was there actually action taken to get to those desired levels of improvement?
Chair, through you. I guess it would start with hotspots. It was during the review of the situation and the intake of starting the project, it was deemed to be one of the hotspots in the city. Therefore, obviously, the project went forward. And when you talk about what was learned, obviously, we highlighted the top 3 things that were decreased that would obviously corroborate the fact that, these kind of things were going on in the city in the South End at the time. And that was just the area that was selected at that time based on the data. However, it's not just specific, it's, throughout different areas, just that we have to go on the data that was provided at the time, and that was deemed to be the best area at the time to do the project.
Yes, go ahead.
So going forward, do we wait until we identify other hotspots in the city to provide similar attention to, or are we more proactive in taking some of the things we did during that project to apply it just to general policing?
Well, we're always looking at what did we learn and what can we implement, and how can we move that process forward in regards to all the data that we collect, all the what went right, what went wrong, where we need to go next. And if that answers your question, but
I can jump in this up. One thing that's really interesting is we historically, and especially right now, are in very much a reactive model because the calls for service are so high. So it limits our ability, even in frontline response, to work proactively. So that project that you just mentioned looked at, okay, where is the data? Where is a high little pocket of crime constantly occurring? And the study says, okay, so if we put officers in that location at that time, would we prevent similar crimes from occurring? So the research, and that's very much embedded in like research. When I say research, I mean evidence-based reports that have been completed that had looked at pre-project levels versus post-project levels. So we saw that that was an effectiveness. So what's interesting here is that's just police presence. And we know when we're present and there's a visibility and we're doing specific tasks within a specific area, in this case, a hotspot, we see a reduction of crime. You know, and it's interesting because a unit largely responsible for this work was our core unit. And as the board knows, we took the core unit and had to redeploy them right back to the front line. So we would have some semblance of service delivery, which I would argue is still quite poor, our response time to calls. And so part of the ask of 52 and part of moving that first 17 in the first year, our hope would to begin to repopulate the core unit. So we could see more drive on those preventative projects that we see have huge impact to occurrences within specific hotspots, but at large. So we got to shift back into a proactive model here and not just chase our tail. So that project, as Paul explained, was a great example of that work and the need to do that work, but it highlights we need bodies to do that work. So hopefully that helps out.
That helps out greatly through the chair.
Thank you.
That it seems to me, and I'd like you to comment, that this would be it is a very cost-effective way to prevent crime as opposed to dealing with crime after it's already happened. Plus, it makes for a safer city. Am I correct in that comment?
Through you, Chair, 100%. And that's almost like the golden ticket. We can't wait for the crime. We can't respond always. We got to prevent. We have to move upstream from this, or we're going to always be overwhelmed with the call volume. So, you know, the analogy is like we have, you know, the bucket, the water overflowing the bucket. So what do? Well, you either get a bigger bucket, put more officers on the road, but in addition, you got to find ways to shut off the volume. And those preventative projects and just even that lens and deployment of our members to those locations in advance helps out enormously. You know, but we hear from the community, when are you bringing the core unit back? When are you bringing the core unit back? And, you know, our hope is to do that. We see the need to remain in a reactive model as we try to survive and support our members on the front line. We know it is not effective. We can do better, but we're just at that breaking point right now. So yeah, good things to come, hopefully, with the mayor's state of the city. We need the city's support here, but to do that and to really move, you know, add bodies to the organization, but be strategic in their deployment. So you nailed it, yeah.
Thank you, and I'll just make a comment. I appreciate the project, and because it produces quantitative numbers that you know, we all have qualitative experiential things and opinions, but I think it helps to actually have stats that drive home the effectiveness of how we're deploying our resources. That, you know, we're all limited in the resources, and it's incumbent upon us and the board and the service to deploy those services in the most effective way possible. So just terrific. Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Member Lehman. Member Stevenson, please.
Hello, and through the chair, in follow-up to Member Lehman's, the one that caught my eye was the prolific downtown offenders. And I know I was surprised to learn of the frequency of crimes that were by very few individuals, actually. And I wondered if you could speak a little bit about that program, or if that's something we can anticipate expanding or coming back when we have more members.
Sure. Sure, Chair, through you. So the prolific offender, so we know that there's often a small pocket of people that are largely responsible for a great volume of similar type occurrences. So if we were to research who are those people, and this project look at almost kind of a carrots and sticks approach, kind of is a terminology in the research, is to say if we reach out to those members that are really largely responsible for that big pocket, and we support them and we provide wraparound services to them, could we change the course of where they're going to go? Would the support allow them to kind of move on to greener pastures as opposed to being stuck in this kind of hamster wheel recidivism? And largely those are crimes they're committing because it's a need. They're survival crimes. It's not, it's not like an ill intention always, but it's a survival crime. So could we wrap around and support them and drive them into a different direction? Now, obviously, non-compliance means we're watching you, and so there could be arrests made, and there could be, a criminal pathway that's also followed. But that has shown great success. And if we track those people then over time and not just look at a small little snapshot, but look, did they commit a crime in post period, or if they did, was it a lower number, and we see that there's a great metric there of support. So identifying those people, supporting them at the outset, but then again, if that's not the route they want to choose, we're there as well to, protect this really the integrity of the city and the safety, we hope. But it's a neat dynamic, well researched and repeated numerous times. We see great results with that.
Well, thank you. I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of the core area as well, because they're, substantially impacted by this, that you guys are doing these projects with the limited resources. So we really appreciate that.
Thank you, Member Stevenson. Any other questions, comments for the Deputy Chiefs? Nope. Seeing none, thank you so much to the Deputy Chiefs for presenting that report. I just need a motion that we receive the report for informational purposes. Moved by Member Lehman. I apologize, I kept saying Lehman. It's Lehman. You probably get both all the time. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Moved by Member Lehman, seconded by Member Stevenson. Any opposed? Excellent. Thank you. That carries. Next item, Deputy Chief Reynolds, you're back up, speaking to complaints against the police in the fourth quarter now.
Thank you. So actually, yes, this report does reflect the fourth quarter. However, it is a full review of the full year in advance of where we ended up after 2022. It is a 5-year report. If you look at, you'll take note of the previous years that were involved. And as per the Police Services Act, which directs that the London Police Service Board is responsible in regards to the Chief of Police on administration of the complaint system. It is recommended that the board receives the quarterly report. Any questions?
Thank you, Deputy Chief Reynolds. Any question from board members? Member Stevenson?
I did notice when I was looking at the results that although there was a large increase in the number of complaints over the span of those years, that a large number of them were screened out. And if you just had any comment on that.
No, actually, that's a great, Chair, through you, sorry. That's a great note. And yes, it appears just by the trending is that as the OIPD has been around a long time, that people are now more familiar. We do have some repeat persons within the city that have, complained multiple times. The reports have been found to be frivolous, vexatious. They're not actual complaints that the OIPD felt should be investigated by us. So therefore, they do screen them out, and there has been an increase in that. When you compare the screen outs. When you really look at the screen outs by the OIPD and the unsubstantiated and the informal resolutions, when you look at the totality, the actual complaints where an actual officer, where it's investigated is 0.6% of all of the stuff that we deal with in regards to the totality of this report. So, 0.06%. Thank you. So great. Yes, great comment. Thanks.
Any other questions or comments from board members? Excellent. I always ask this question, just generally, how are you feeling about the numbers? We have that 5-year picture. We see it kind of go up and down. We have seen a bit of an upward trend, and I know previously, while on its surface may seem potentially problematic, it also highlights a higher comfort level by members of the public to come forward with concerns. And I think that's something it's always bears mentioning again, is that we want members of the public to feel that they can come forward. But I mean, I don't know, when you were preparing this report or looking at these numbers, anything jump out at you? You know, are you feeling that continued confidence in the public that they can come forward, make a complaint, and that it will be taken seriously?
I do. Sorry, Chair, obviously to you. I do feel you're 100% accurate in regards to that statement. I feel the increase is because people, members of the public, are more comfortable to complain if they feel they didn't receive proper service. If they're upset with, you know, how they were treated, then I do support that observation by you.
Thank you. And just for the benefit of some of our newer members here, something else that we've discussed previously is sort of this idea that can this provide almost, I don't want to use the word flag, but we know that it's an extremely difficult job. So is this sometimes an opportunity to take a member and just kind of go, oh, you know, maybe we need to check in with that member. Maybe we need to see if that member needs a little extra support just based on something that's occurred that's maybe doesn't go down further because it wasn't as serious as it could be. Is that still sort of the approach where you're using this to maybe guide identifying supportive members who need support?
Yeah, so I can tell you, Chair, obviously, great point. And actually, Inspector Travis is in the room from our professional standards branch. So he has actually, when I was the superintendent in uniform division, has actually reached out to me exactly with the situation that you're, where it's not really the threshold of discipline. So, you know, getting ahead of that and speaking to the officer and, you know, checking in and utilizing obviously all the resources with the police service that we have, as well as making sure they're okay. And, you know, pointing out that, you know, being preventative, I guess, would be the great word. So, yes, accurate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deputy Chief. If there's no other questions or comments, can I get a motion to receive for informational purposes the fourth quarter complaints against police report, moved by Member Stevenson, seconded by a Member Walker. Any opposed? And that carries. Back to you, Chief Reynolds, with the Crime Stoppers fourth quarter report.
Sorry about that. So as sorry about that. The Crime Stoppers report was obviously submitted in advance. The report covers the fourth quarter of 2022 as well as the totalities of 2022 statistics. And it's also comparison to the last 5 years. The recommendation is that the board receive the attached report for their information.
Thank you. Questions, comments about the Crime Stoppers? Member Stevenson.
Thank you, and through the chair, I noticed the large increase in narcotics seized and cash seized in the one diagram, and I wondered if you had any comments there.
I do, through you, Chair. Yes, what I can state is that the large narcotics and the cash seized was in regards to a single investigation. So it wasn't multiple, it was one single event. And that's all I can really say about that at this time.
Thank you. It sounds like a job well done.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Great. May I have a motion to receive for informational purposes the fourth quarter Crime Stoppers report? I'm going to look at this side this time. Moved by the mayor, seconded by the vice chair. Nice, so looking that way. Any opposed? Great, and that carries. Back over to you, Deputy Chief Reynolds. Talk to us about the suspect apprehension pursuits. Again, fourth quarter report.
Yes, so this report is submitted, Chair, through you. This report is submitted to the board pursuant to London Police Service Board policy and in compliance with adequacy standards. Once again, it's the trends of the last 5 years within the police service. And I will point out, just for information, that it came up earlier that all of our case pursuits that do occur are actually assigned to our sergeant in the traffic management unit, who does a full procedural review. The recommendation is the board receives this report.
Questions, comments from the board? Being none, can I have a motion to accept for informational purpose or receive for informational purposes the pursuit report, the suspect apprehension pursuit report, moved by member Stevenson, seconded by member Lehman. Any opposed? And that carries. Next up is a board procedural efficiency matter that's come up. The agenda item is meeting time tracker and board committee structure. Essentially, what the board structure used to be, as people might remember, if you turn your mind back a few years, was one board managing all the affairs at the meeting, voting members only. Then there was a board members only, in camera, public. The meetings were long. We'd often start at 9, not end until about 3 p.m. So we devised what we thought at the time was going to be a far more efficient approach, which was to carve out committees. And the committees were the governance committee and the, oh my gosh, I'm blanking the other, finance committee. My goodness, my mind doesn't work in numbers. The finance committee. And the idea being that the committees, a smaller committee, would review the material and then make recommendations to the full board. And the hope was that it would actually make for much shorter police board meetings with the use of this committee structures. If you've had an opportunity to go through the amazing, thorough analysis, the time tracker analysis that Jen and Mel put together, you can see that that has not borne out in practice. I think we were very well intentioned in terms of what we intended to do. I think we inadvertently as well, it used to be the case that during aspects of in-camera, there'd be some senior officers who would attend the meeting. We ended up having to shift away from that, and it was now invite only. So it felt inadvertently that we had actually created a little bit more distance between senior officers and the board. So I put it to the board in terms of what they would like to do, but unfortunately, from my perspective, I feel like this might have been a bit of a failed experiment. We tried. But we have a very active board that really likes to get into all the committees, which is wonderful. So with the board's blessing, obviously comments, discussion is fine, but maybe the easiest way to propose it is to simply go back to the way we had it before, the VMO, BMO in camera. But let me open a discussion before I even turn that into motion. Vice Chair.
So thank you, through you, Chair. So I wasn't here, actually almost all of us except for you. Wasn't
I'm the only one.
Yeah, you're the only one from that.
I'm the throwback.
So was the idea, so let me ask you this question, was the only metric that we were trying to assess, was it time of meetings, or was there another rationale for trying to subdivide it into governance and finance in terms of kind of, like, what was the primary rationale there?
As I recall, and Jen, you might even have some memories as well. It was sort of two things. One was for sure prioritizing why our board meetings start at 9 and end at 3 p.m. and is there a way to narrow it down a bit? I think there was a sense that if a committee is only 3 members instead of all 7, things would be a little quicker. But is there any other, Jen, do you recall?
I think you hit it well there, but I think efficiency and effectiveness really go hand in hand. Yeah. So effectiveness has dwindled if we are exhausted after meeting since 8:39 in the morning, which often is the case, and we weren't really seeing that we're busy. It's the world of police governance is insanely busy, just like the world of policing nowadays. So we just didn't see any savings in either. It wasn't like all of a sudden we were getting all these other tasks completed and projects. I mean, we're still doing them, but the measurement was time and whether we were getting things done on our ever evolving due list. So
yeah, and I think it's worth mentioning, sorry,
sorry.
Vice Chair, is that apart from not saving us time, I think it's really critical to highlight that it has doubled your workload, Jen, or at least significantly increased it. And so I think that is something the board should keep in mind in terms of twice as many minutes, trying to juggle motions from this to that, have it all written, trying to guess in advance, trying to get those minutes out. So just, I think it's worth adding that to.
And there were a lot of, as well, unintended consequences or side effects. So the more meetings you have, the more opportunity we are to run late. And all of you are waiting to come into the next meeting. How many times have you emailed? Have you, I don't think the link is working in our COVID days. I don't think the link is working because we hadn't started the meeting because we were still in the previous one. So if there's only 3 meetings, there's less meetings that people are waiting to get in. And again, as Chair said about the minutes, it's 5 sets of minutes. And we also have to pre-plan, presuppose the decisions that are made at committee that morning for the later morning and afternoon meetings the same day. Like, it's just administratively, it was quite a challenge.
Vice Chair, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, through your chair. And so even in addition to that, if 3 things, if the intended purpose was to reduce time, the empirical evidence before us shows we didn't succeed on that front, which is fine. That's a pilot project. That's why we do these things, to see if they work or they don't. Secondly, for the new members, so Member Walker and I are on governance with Chair Toth, right? But everybody came to governance anyways. Finance, I'm not on finance, you're not on finance, but we all went to finance anyways. And so it was the same number of questions using the same amount of time, but just creating more administrative duplication there, right? And actually twice, because you would ask the same questions in committee as you would there. So so for that reason, I don't see what the utility of continuing on with it. If the best reason that you do something is because we've always done it that way, that's no reason at all. So I think based on our discussion today and the report, I'd be very strongly leaning towards going back to the other model that predates us. So, thank you.
Member Walker.
Thank you. I'm happy to move that we go back to previous days and eliminate these 2 committees. Over the last year, going to these committee meetings was an onerous task, and then rehashing everything at the next meeting and then as Jennifer has said in the afternoon, was just when we're trying to find efficiencies, it was really inefficient. And I do appreciate the incredible work that has gone into this to make it so clear. And for me as well, I want to make sure that the priorities of this year are really around hiring. That's a big task we have ahead of us for a deputy chief in chief. Excuse me, we're potentially going into labor negotiations shortly. And also we have a business plan where the community just invested a lot of their time to provide input in the hope they're going to see output. And so those 3 things alone, combined with the MHAP meeting and the anti-racism MHAP panel and the anti-racism panel, are huge undertakings. And I really think the best we can do for London is to focus on the areas that matter most, and duplication of service is not one. So I'm happy to move the elimination of both those.
Thank you, Member Walker. So it's been moved by Member Walker, seconded by Member Stevenson. Any other discussion before I call the vote? Right, calling the vote. Let's do all in favor. Perfect. None opposed. That carries. So hopefully that'll make your life a little bit easier. Go ahead, Jen.
I just want to add that we revised our board policy 100. So I will revise that and bring it back. We added all the committee structure in there. So would you like me to revise that? I'll bring it back to the next meeting just to tidy it up.
Yes, I think that makes a great deal of sense. So we'll do the housekeeping, formalizing the policy at the February meeting, but the vote to do so occurred today. Excellent. Okay. Moving right along. Next up is the Anti-Racism Advisory Panel monthly verbal update. Just because of the holiday period and how everything's been working out, we haven't had a chance to have a meeting of the Anti-Racism Advisory Panel since the last time we met in December as a board. So that is forthcoming. I believe we have a couple of dates in February that hopefully will work out, or one of them will work out. And also later on today, we are going to be repopulating based on some of our new members in terms of where they would like to land in those various committees. Fortunately, we no longer have to worry about populating the governance and finance committee, but the panels are really interesting and really important. So we'll get people in those involved in those two panels. I don't think I need a motion. That's just an update. Member Walker, do you want to speak to the Mental Health and Addictions Advisory Panel?
Yes, thank you. So like the anti-racism advisory panel, the committee has not met since before Christmas. There have been notifications sent out for meeting dates, and my colleague Nancy Branscombe and the co-chair of the committee, Christine Geringer, we will meet and make sure there's ample opportunity for everybody to participate with a schedule that's going out or has gone out for information purposes.
Thank you, Member Walker. Next up, the sponsorship of the Louis Corey Trailblazer event. There's obviously a memo attached, so I won't just read it word for word. There is some sad news. I don't know if everyone's aware, but Mr. Corey did pass away just shortly ago, and I mean, he lived an incredible life, and it's no wonder that the award is called the Trailblazer Award, because truly that is a adequate, or not adequate, perfect description of who he was. I know that his family has kept closely in touch with the police service, and I mean, I had the opportunity to meet Mr. Corey pre-pandemic, back when things were still in person, and it was incredible to watch him. Just the way he just commanded the room, and there was just a line of fans just wanting to sort of be in his presence, shake his hand, say hello, and it was really extraordinary. So it's a little sad that this year he's not going to be able to attend in person, but I think at the very least his memory will certainly live on. Now, what we are here to talk about today and decide is that we don't actually have sort of a permanent year-to-year sponsorship of this award, and it's just year to year we decide. We share an award with the LPA, so the board contributes some, the LPA contributes some, and the award goes to students. They submit essays, and based on that, they're awarded the Trailblazer Award. So we discussed this briefly, and I think Chief Williams is there. Did you want to say a few words about honoring Mr. Corey?
Sure. I echo everything you said. He was a great man. He was an inspiration to so many young people and people in our service. I attended his funeral with Deputy Chief McIntyre, Inspector Price was there, and a few other senior officers, and our color guard was there. So obviously the Trailblazer Award ceremony is just a bit more than a month away. I think, you know, it's something we need to continue to support. What he stood for and what he did for the community, we can carry that forward, and any commitment the board would make towards that is appreciated. And I think it's definitely a worthy of consideration. So.
Thank you, Chief. So just for a little bit of context, in 2022, we did increase the award from $500 to $1,000 for the 3 different awards. So there's the first, second, and third place. So I put it to the board in terms of what they would like to do. Member Stevenson.
I'm happy to make a motion that we continue with the $1,000 sponsorship.
Thank you. Seconded by Vice Chair, seconded?
Sure, and I have a question.
Okay. Okay, so seconded by the Vice Chair, but go ahead with any discussion.
Thank you, through you, Chair. We can maybe vote on the motion and then have another ancillary conversation with regards to kind of the parameters of sponsorship on a go-forward basis. But if we want to pass this motion, I'd be obviously seconding the motion. So up to you how you wish to proceed.
Yeah, well, if there's something ancillary, then might as well.
Yeah, it's related, but not specific to the motion.
Oh,
so,
perfect. Okay, so why don't we call the vote? All in favor? Any opposed? Perfect. Okay, so that carries. Vice Chair.
Thank you, through you, Chair. So I didn't know Mr. Corey, but sometimes I know people whose are kind of larger than life, and their legacy. It's not about the individual contributions; it's about what they symbolize, and that the trailblazer. And so, even through his legacy and just through people I respect, he must have been a great man, chief, and yeah. So, and that's why I would be fully supportive of supporting this in the past, as well as the motion that was just passed. I think I raised it at the last time we had a brief discussion, just about. I'm a process person. I like to have parameters in place for sponsorship. If third parties or individuals in the community are coming to us as a board asking for us to sponsor different initiatives or fundraising events or whatever, I'm fine with that. But what I think we're lacking is we need, I hate policies for the sake of having policies, but we need some parameters. And so that's why I think there's value in us having some parameters, so that when future requests, whether it's this one or ones in the future, we have an objective criterion that we can actually point to and say, yep, this meets the test or it doesn't meet the test. And that subjective element is kind of removed from the equation, so that it protects the board from saying, well, you supported them, why aren't you supporting us? Or you supported this, why aren't you doing it? So I just think I'd be very supportive of creating something, a policy, a procedure, some outline or guides to help guide us in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Do you anticipate, would this be something that you'd be prepared perhaps to take a
That's the
this is the
penalty for
danger.
talking.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, I would. I would be happy to, with the support of my colleagues, to put something together. And I don't know if we have to strike a committee or anything. I'm happy to do it myself. But I would want to bring it back to the board for their input and consultation, and then hopefully get something in place in the coming months. Yeah.
So would it be fair?
Or with
Yes,
Ms.
we need-
Foster's assistance?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Even better.
So would it be fair for your motion that you're moving that you and Jen work together to create a policy to provide some level of consistency, am I getting the wording lang, around future sponsorship of awards and or other items?
Board financial sponsorship
Board
requests.
financial sponsorship
Yeah.
requests.
Yes.
You have that, Jen? Perfect. So
I'd be
that's
happy to move that.
been moved by the vice chair, seconded by member Lehman. Any further discussion on that? Perfect. Any opposed? And that carries. Thank you. Go ahead, Jen. Oh,
Sorry, can I just ask a clarifying thing? So
Yeah.
it relates to both motions maybe. We just decided the 1,000 is for this year, and then this policy will look to future years, or?
Yes. So my understanding, subject to my colleagues, is we have two motions. One to approve the amount for this year.
This year.
So we've dealt with 2023 sponsorship, and now we're going to have a second. Now we're going to have a policy that will guide us on a go-forward basis. But we've
This and other requests.
That's right. That's right. Financial sponsorship requests from the community. If that is that in alignment with what everybody thinks? Okay.
yeah,
All right.
just checking on the mover of that motion. Okay, perfect. And you're comfortable with that? Okay, excellent. Go ahead, member Worker.
Thank you. So I'm wondering if there's a bigger conversation we could have as well about providing this financial award in perpetuity, so that we're not every year having to debate it. It seems like it's just a most incredible award to be given to young people in the name of a man who is described as a hero. And I wonder if, as part of your initiative, Councillor, or not Councillor Shabar, Member Shabar, would you be open to perhaps including extending this as a permanent thing until, or at least over the next 5 years or something, and we could then speak with the police association and make sure that they're willing to also provide their half of the donation? No?
Vice Chair.
Thank you, through you, Chair. I personally don't have a problem with that. I mean, technically, by Robert's rules, I think that Susan, yeah, it's your motion, right? So if you're okay with, even doesn't have to be on the books, but like an amendment to your motion to consider that, I'd be supportive of that. But I think it's Member Stevenson's motion. So
Member Stevenson. Okay.
okay, so then I'm happy to do that. Absolutely.
So what was the timing on that? Did you say 5 years?
Well, I wondered if Member Shabar would bring back, along with his recommendation, a timeline for what is reasonable after discussions with the London Police Association.
We don't have one yet. It might be 5. Go ahead, Member Stevens.
The only thing that came to mind about making it 5 years or whatever the term is, that somebody has to remember at the end of the 5 years that, you know what I mean? So I wonder if it's easier just to do it every year than to try to remember and flag it.
I'm totally great with that. I was trying to
Yeah.
show some caution. That was all.
So thank you, through
Vice
you,
Chair.
Chair. So through you, Chair, absolutely. I just think it'll probably be part of the conversation when I bring it back. We can then have a discussion 1 year, 5 year, 3 years. But I think we'll just park that for now and then bring it back and revisit it and decide then. So, but yeah, thank you.
Perfect. Okay. So you mover seconder. Did I call the vote for that? They're all called. Okay, perfect. So we're good. Thank you so much. I think that's going to be incredibly important. And I echo what's said. I can't imagine us ever at some point saying, no, we don't want to sponsor that, but it'll be nice to have a process in place. Where are we on the agenda here? Next up is my verbal update. Not much to report. Probably the biggest thing right now is the ongoing chief selection, and most of that process is confidential. I can mention that the posting closed as of January 16th. So we have all of the applications that are going to be coming in. They are now in. The next step will be to narrow that down to an initial interview, which is taking place, I believe is mid-February. And then from there, narrowing it down one more time to final set of interviews taking place, I believe is March 2nd, and then making the final decision from there. So that's sort of where we are in the timeline of this process. And hopefully we'll have some updates as the year progresses in terms of leadership. Next up, is there anything else I want to mention? Oh, yes. Could I get a motion to receive my verbal report? Moved by Member Walker, seconded by Member Stevenson. Any opposed? And that carries. Jen, do you have an administrator verbal update?
Yeah, just a quick one. So just a reminder, we talked about it over lunch, but our zone advisor, Mr. Leclerc over there, is giving us a governance training presentation Monday, 9:30 to 11:30 here in this room. So hopefully everybody can come. And I keep uploading, Mel and I keep uploading items to move it. We've added a bunch of webinars that were from the past CAPG webinars that you would have missed, our newest members from council. So there's lots more in there all the time. Really, really good opportunities for learning there. And also the efficiencies list. We've been talking a lot about efficiencies the last few months for the board, and we handled one of them today, which is great. But I'm asking you, we'll be presenting a memo related to that for the February meeting on the 16th. And I'm asking all of you, folks that have lots of experience on the board and folks that have maybe fresh ideas that are just coming on board, to send us any ideas, and we want to just sort of cover all the bases. So if you think of anything that you're like, wonder if they thought about trying this or that, it's all really valuable. So please just send those to us over the next few weeks. And that's my update. Thank you.
Go ahead, Member Walker.
Thank you. I feel I've missed something. When are we passing a motion or tabling a motion with respect to who is sitting on the have we already done that? Anti-Racism Advisory Committee?
And it's coming up number 17.
Oh, for golly's sake. I thought that's just what you did. So I'm so sorry.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
It's hard to keep track. But no, so in number 17, we'll be going through all of the committees, the panels, and repopulating them. Okay. I just need a motion to receive the administrator's report, moved by Member Stevenson, seconded by, I'm going to say Member Morgan this time. Any opposed? Carried. Okay. Next up, exciting election of chair and vice chair. So just sort of from the chair perspective, it is a wonderful privilege to be chair. Initially, I had considered putting my name back in the ring to be chair for another year. I mean, I'll be honest, it's not necessarily something that I covet. It's not an ego thing for me. I thought, we've got lots of new members, so it might make sense for some consistency, just because it really does require such a depth of knowledge and understanding of complex legislation, labor relations, It's really 365-day commitment. Oftentimes, media is often calling and asking for comment. So I had intended initially to put my name back in just as sort of the most senior member here. I understand that that's not necessarily the way that the board would like to go forward. So I've chosen not to put my name in. I just didn't want there to be a situation where we had a really highly contentious election. So I will not be putting my name as chair, letting other people step in. I wouldn't mind starting the process. Vice Chair Chabar has been an incredible vice chair for me and has been great support. You've seen him a couple times actually step in as the chair in September when I wasn't available, in December when I was very, very sick, and it's a bit hazy in my memory what happened in December. Vice Chair Chabar certainly was there, available, and has always been an incredible support. You know, I know him as a very thoughtful, committed, dedicated person, and so I would nominate him to sort of get the process rolling in the role of chair.
I would second that. I would second that, Susan.
Thank you, Member Branscombe. So it's moved by me and seconded by Member Branscombe. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I guess I can just call that to vote. All in favor? And that carries. Congratulations, Chair Chabar. I don't entirely envy you, but I'm very, very, very proud to call you the next chair of the Police Services Board. And always obviously here for support. So
I have a motion for vice chair.
yes, please. That's the next on the agenda.
I would like to nominate Member Walker. It's been a great pleasure to work with her this year on the Mental Health Committee and on various budget committees, and her keen commitment and time she devotes to this Police Services Board is pretty remarkable. And I think that she would be a wonderful addition to the executive branch of this committee.
So we have a motion from Member Branscombe for Member Walker to be vice chair. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Member Lehman. Any comments, discussion? Great, seeing none, I'll call that to vote. All in favor? And that carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Nancy, for your kind words. I really appreciate it.
So congratulations to our new chair and new vice chair going forward for the next year. Again, I have no doubt that the board is in excellent hands. So that brings us now to the next item, which is the board committees, panels, and working groups. You'll see in the memo before you, we initially had the governance committee, the finance and administration committee. Just ignore that. We're striking that off. We're not going forward with that. So that's out. Oh, sorry. Do you have is there a question?
No,
or?
I'm just lost.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just trying to find.
No, fair enough. We're at the 17. So don't worry about governance or finance, but let's just go down the list in order. I think the next one on the group is the risk management working group. Formerly the previous chair, or not the previous chair, the previous mayor, Mayor Holder was a member of that group. Any interest? We do need somebody to put their name forward for that. Perfect. Excellent. Member Stevenson. That's wonderful. Really appreciate that. So do we need a motion to say?
We want to do it all at the end.
We can do it all. Yeah.
So depending on how many changes there are.
Yeah, fair enough. Is there anyone else who's very excited to add their name to that group? You could probably have more than one. Nancy, I hear you laughing. Are you volunteering?
I'm thinking nobody's excited to do that.
I know that's where we're like, thank you. Thank you, Member Stevenson. Okay, excellent. We'll keep it at that. The next up is the Anti-Racism Advisory Panel. New members in particular. Any one of you want to add your name to that panel? You have, I guess you could be on both, probably have two options. One is to put your name forward for ARAP, the other would be MHAP.
Happy to put my name forward for a wrap.
Excellent.
Thank you.
So you're already on ARAP, so you'd be continuing.
Continuing, yeah.
Excellent. Anyone else? Probably should have one more member. Okay, if somebody else, I'm looking at the new members, putting a little pressure. Excellent. Thank you so much, Member Morgan. So that's 2 there. You're keeping track for me. Awesome. How about the Mental Health and Addictions Advisory Panel? So right now it's Member Future Vice Chair Walker, Member Branscombe. Anybody else would like to be? Member Stevenson, fantastic. Good. Yes, go ahead.
Did we lose the mayor on that one now, as he discussed last time?
So I'm happy to serve on one,
Yeah.
not both. I think that there will be work that I would be doing externally that might integrate with the Mental Health and Addictions Advisory Panel, which would be my preference, but I know we need to populate the anti-racism panel as well. So if someone wants to switch me, I'd be happy to take that. But I certainly think that both are equally important, and I wanted to ensure that we had adequate members on the anti-racism, anti-advisory panel, which I also have experience with working through the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. So, and I also think that ultimately on this board, I'd like to experience both over a period of time. So hence me sticking out my hand on that. I would hope that I could switch at some point, but I would certainly be expecting to integrate some work with the members on the other panel as well at some point.
I really appreciate that, and don't be surprised if you get an invitation from us to attend from now and again.
Excellent. Okay, any other?
I just want to note, just because you're not a member, you're welcome to attend any meeting you want, just to see what it's about, just to connect with us. If you have, one piece of information you want to share with some work that you're doing in another area at the city. So everybody's welcome to every meeting as a special guest.
Next up, we do need a newly appointed member to the Deputy and Chief Recruitment Committee. So currently that's myself, Member Chabar, Vice Chair Chabar, and Member Branscombe. Excellent. Member Lehman putting forward his name. That's probably good. We want to keep it a little bit small. Just a reminder, it's really a process position. Substantive decisions are full board. This is really just to get all that nitty gritty, coordinate with the recruiter and so on. So we'll add Member Lehman to that. Labor Negotiations Committee, also new, both of you, either one. What was decided? Okay. Member Lehman.
No, I'm not volunteering.
Member Morgan has volunteered. It's written in stone. No, go ahead.
I know that there's 2 people interested,
Yes.
and there might be others. The way that I've worked on labor negotiation committees in the past is that there are those who are kind of the core group who would be engaging with the material, but there are always those who may support the core group, and so I would hope that each of us from time to time might support that. So although it may be one of you or the other, I think there'll be ample opportunity through the process if we structure it properly for everybody to share their expertise and perspectives through it. I found that's a model that works very well in my other experiences.
No, I think you're exactly right. And in fact, I was not part of the Labor Negotiations Committee the last time around, and I ended up being brought in with Deputy Chief McIntyre. So I think you're absolutely right. This is not sort of a written stone, whoa, you're not on the committee, you are shut out, you can't do anything. I think there's lots of room for a little bit of flexibility, or if one of the members can't attend, somebody else can kind of step in. So I think that's an excellent point. Thank you for raising that. So we have a Member Lehman added to that committee, at least officially. And the next one is the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. We need an LPSB representative. It used to be a Member Helmer, although frankly you've attended most of them. Jen, do you have some other?
I just want to say something. So I attended their most recent meeting, which was probably 3-4 weeks ago. They're really at the maintenance stage. It's neat to have seen, because I was at the first few meetings while we were waiting to get a board member to more formally commit to that group, and to see where they had come in that period of time. Now it was I measure everything by pre and post COVID, and it was pre-COVID, so there was a lot of time. But what I learned at the last meeting a few weeks ago is that London was really, really sort of well positioned already with getting some of these things going. So they probably had the province told them that as well. They probably had a bit of an easier time, making some of these great results happen. So it's maintenance stage. So I asked them, I said, so I know how busy the board is, and there's, lots of new people coming on, and everybody's going to be getting up to speed and learning how to work together and stuff. I probably could do it, especially with the committees being gone now, that I could just keep in touch and give you these updates like I'm doing now, where they're at with it. It's probably about 4 meetings a year. And it is more just me taking information back and forth. So if somebody wants to be on that committee, that's fantastic. But that is probably something that I could do. It's not super labor intensive. Yeah.
I have to say that every time.
Go ahead.
I want to share that when the public safety minister was in town, he made an announcement of $3.09 million to support preventative programs for youth in the community, to steer them away from gang-related or crime-related lifestyles. And it's my understanding that although there is a 1-year plan, an initial phase first-year deliverables associated with that plan, that part of it is developing a multi-year plan for the disbursement of that money. And the idea was using the community safety and well-being plan and members who are supporting that advisory committee to help with that work, leading into the development of the plan by June 30th of this year. So I wanted to add that because I do believe for the long term it's in maintenance mode, but there may be a short-term project. So if any members here are interested in that sort of space, I believe that is an opportunity that will be available this year. In the months to come. Not saying you have to be on the committee to support that work, but it might entice someone to want to be involved. I don't have time to do it, but I'll be involved in other ways.
If I may add one more thing too, sorry. It's also really well populated with LPS staff and management. So there's some good folks at the table here that truly can speak to safety of the city more than the governance side of it.
I'll leave it still to the board if anybody wishes to put their name forward. It does sound like we have at least a good plan in place with Jen attending, but as Member Morgan has pointed out, there could be some exciting projects. So anyone? Yeah, excellent. Thank you so much, Member Stevenson. It's appreciated. So we'll add Member Stevenson to the Community Safety Wellbeing Plan as a representative. And I think that is it for those committees. So we'll put it all in one motion to add Member Stevenson to risk management. Member Chabar, well, the AREP is adding Member Morgan. Member Chabar was already part of that. Adding Member Stevenson to MHAP and adding Member Stevenson to the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. Oh, that's right. And adding Member Lehman to the Bargaining and Labor Negotiations Committee, I should say. I think I've captured all of them. Oh, and the Recruitment Committee. Jen, no, I'm just kidding.
So is that Member Lehman?
Member Lehman to
Stevenson or no?
Just Member Lehman to Labor Negotiations Committee and to the Chief and Deputy Chief Selection Committee. Okay, so that's all in one motion. Do I have a mover for that motion? Moved by Member Morgan, seconded by Member Stevenson. Any opposed? Perfect, and that is.
Sorry, I just want, that's good.
Okay.
That's good, but I just want to ask one clarifying question.
Yes.
So that does not change current membership, correct?
Exactly.
We're adding to, nobody's leaving that's on now of Nancy, Ethan.
Yes.
You.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Excellent. Okay, so that is now dealt with. Moving along, we have a quick new business item from Member Walker.
Thank you. So I wanted to just give an update on the femicide initiative. And as you know, London is the only police service in all of Canada to have launched that. And but more and more organizations and police agencies are becoming attracted to becoming involved after they see where we go. We do have a meeting now scheduled with the minister's office, and it'll include Chair Toth and Myrna Dawson, who is with the Canadian Femicide Observatory for Justice and Accountability, and Nika McGregor, who is with Women at the Center, and we will be meeting in February. And so we will provide an update following that meeting.
Thank you so much. Do we need a motion to accept that report, Jen? So can I get a mover and seconder to accept that oral report for informational purposes? Moved by the vice chair, seconded by member Lehman. Any opposed to that? Great, and that carries. I do have one announcement before we end the meeting, and I do apologize because it might come a little bit out of left field. As everyone knows, I've been on the board for 6 years, 6 amazing, wonderful, challenging roller coaster years. Man, I'm not going to get emotional about this. Over the past few weeks, I've just come to the realization that as a board member and as a woman of color, and I'm going to blatantly steal the words of Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, I don't really have anything left in the tank. I don't feel at this stage that I have enough left to be an effective voice for oversight and for the community. So it's with a heavy heart that I've spent the last week reevaluating my role on the board, my ability to contribute, and have come to the decision that the right decision for me is to resign from the London Police Services Board effective at the end of this month. I started on this board truly to make a difference. I have learned so much from everybody. I honestly have tried to be fair, to be ethical, to make a difference, to consider the community, to speak for the community. It's not always been easy. Many of you have been with me on this journey. I've been the minority votes on many things. I remember feels like many years ago, I was the only person in favor of increasing the budget and putting more police officers. I'm very happy to see that there's been a shift there from me being the sole voice, I think, to a little bit more of a unanimous support. There's been sacrifices, especially as a racialized member. It's just the reality that, been subject to attack, had complaints made to the chief about me. But I have to tell you, it has been it sounds so cliche, but truly from the bottom of my heart, the honor of a lifetime. I don't regret a single minute. When I started, and I think perhaps my appointment was I don't know if it's controversial, it might have been. Somebody kept asking me over and over again, what's your agenda? And it was, what's your agenda? And I was like, as if like I had this nefarious sort of plan in place that I was going to come in, and I finally said, the only agenda I have is to uphold the oath we all take when we join the board that requires us to follow the Police Services Act, and that is to provide real oversight and to provide adequate and effective police services in this community. And I feel that I did that bringing in my experiences as a lawyer, my lived experience as a first-generation immigrant and woman of color, and I hope I've done it to the best of my abilities. Having said that, I know that this has impacts, and I want to start by deeply apologizing to City Council. This comes a month after you reappointed me. I know this. I am so truly sorry that I'm doing this to City Council, but I do take this opportunity to challenge City Council to actively seek out and replace me with a Black or Indigenous member This is actually something that the new Police Services Act actually directs the province and the municipality to consider a priority. So this is a legislative ask. This is not, you know, consider doing this. This is a directive that's going to be brought in with the new Police Services Act. And I tell you, it would be a disservice to that upcoming act, to the city, to the LPS, to the board, if we ended up with a board where only one board member was a person of color. So truly challenge the city to do the right thing when choosing my replacement. I also want to apologize not just to the city, but to the BIPOC community. I feel like I'm letting you down a little bit. It was not a decision I made lightly, but it's the right decision for me. Moving away from the apologies, oh, thank you. I want to just take a few, bear with me, and I really appreciate you giving me this time for some gratitude. Number one, Jennifer, you are the glue that holds this organization together. You've been the glue the entire time I've been here. I don't know how you do what you do. You're extraordinary. You are. And I'm so grateful that I had the privilege of working for you for 6 years and working with you. 6 years. I know. I feel like I did work for you sometimes. You're telling me. Ali, my friend, you have been the best vice chair that I could have asked for. My admiration for you is immeasurable. Your integrity, your decency, your work ethic, who you are as a person and as a member of this board make me proud to be your friend. And I'm so proud that you are stepping into my role as chair. I know you're going to do an incredible job leading this board forward through a very, a year of transition, for sure. To the members of London Police Association, none of whom are here today, but maybe you're on the screen. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's true. They are.
They are.
Okay, wonderful. Good. Rick, Paolo, previously Dave, Ozzy, all of you guys, you have challenged me. You have made sure you've held my feet to the fire. Thank you for your honesty, your integrity, your humor, your strength. I have loved working with all of you, even when we're at odds, even during the tough times. Chief and deputy chiefs, thank you for your service and dedication. It's been a pleasure. Trish, honestly, when I go home, sometimes I think I want to be her when I grow up. You are truly just the model of kindness, compassion, leadership. I just think so highly of you, and I look forward to seeing what the future holds for you. Deputy Chief Reynolds, I am so sure that if I had stayed on, we would have been fast friends. I would kind of consider you a friend, so sorry for you for that, but there you go. Chief Williams, I am so proud that you are the chief of my city. It has been a pleasure. You may not know this, Chief Williams has probably the best dry humor of anybody I know, and you have been supportive. I've come to you when I've needed guidance and support, and never had anything but an open door, and just a wonderful. I count you amongst my friends now, and I hope that continues, and I wish you the best in your retirement. I'm grateful. Again, oh my gosh, I can't stop saying that, but it's true. I have deep friendships. I still continue to have deep friendships with members, former members of the board, and I'm really, really proud of what I've accomplished while I've been here. I'm proud to have been the first Latina member of this board. I'm proud that we selected Chief Williams and Deputy Chief McIntyre a few years ago. I think that was an incredible decision, if I say so myself. I'm proud of the incredible in-depth community consultation process we underwent when we passed our sexual assault investigation policy, and we had members with lived experience, with expertise come to the table, and it was really a truly wonderful process. Proud that we funded a full-time psychologist for LPS. I truly, that was one of my proudest moments as well. proud that we created the Anti-Racism Advisory Panel and the Mental Health and Addictions Panel. And I'm very proud of the letter that we sent to the province requesting greater diversity on the board. So I hope that I leave the board on a high note and that I've been able to be part of such an incredible legacy of equity and community and justice. And to the board, I wish you all the absolute best of luck during this year. Thank you for all you do. I know more than anyone the incredible amount of work that comes with this position. And I know that you will do us all proud. So that's it. Sorry it was so long, but thank you again, everybody. It's been a true honor and a privilege. And that's all I have to say. So thank you. I'll be waiting for some swag. It's the one thing you get when you're a board member in an event. So that's I believe that's it. Oh yes, absolutely. I'm going to just randomly choose you.
Thank you. I'm not going to say chair. I'm going to say Susan, my friend. So I will lack in your eloquence and I will lack in your passion in my remarks here. But I just want to say to everybody here, I've known Susan decade, over a decade now.
Yeah.
She's
Don't age us.
Yeah. She's a member of the legal community that I've worked with. She's we were co-debaters on a Wolf Hall debate some time ago. She's a friend. I think that's the most valuable title that I have. And I just want to say that Susan, we talked about trailblazers before, and your lens and your voice and your vision and your perspective and your worldview is something that I know I've only been on the board for a year or so, but I know that to bring your lived experience to this board over the last 6 years, the board's not just better for it, but the City of London is better for it. The police service is better for it. Well, I will lament the fact that I won't get to work with you longer. I guess what I would say is I'll miss you. I know we're still gonna be friends and we're still gonna be talking, we're still gonna like that, but I'll miss working with you, and you're an asset. You're an asset to the board. You're an asset to the city, and I know your voice, even though you won't have a voice at this table on a go-forward basis, and for reasons, I will say to you that please don't deny the City of London your voice outside of this room. So thank you for everything that you've done. Thank you for who you are, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It feels awkward asking people to speak about
Yeah.
that.
First of all, I just want to say thank you for your going on 6 years of service on the board and in support of the London Police Service. And let me say that you did make a difference. You did. So I was a deputy chief in 2015 when I was recruited into that role, and you came onto the board in 2017. And I have seen the support that you provided the police service and our members. And I don't pretend to speak for the association. Rick's on the call, I believe. But I do go back to a meeting when Chief Perry was the chief, and when we made the pitch for a staff psychologist, which you had referred to, and just our whole wellness programming, and you were rock solid behind that. You supported our members, and you continue to support the members, particularly our wellness and staffing challenges. And I recall the budget year when you voted against the budget, and the only reason you voted against the budget because you didn't think it was enough. We should have asked for more. So I do remember that. A stroke of brilliance in 2019 when you recruited me as chief.
Yeah.
Well done. And you know, particularly over the last 3 years-ish, every organization has had challenges. Every sector has had challenges, including London Police Service, and those challenges were felt by everybody from the newest employee to the leadership. And we had so many conversations, you and I, over, during COVID, and there were other issues we dealt with, always very accessible both ways, you and I. And when I had challenges, you supported me, and you supported me publicly, and I won't forget that. So I just want to say thank you for that, and thanks again for your service, and best of luck to you.
Thank you, Chief.
I think we can get a motion to adjourn this meeting. Moved by Vice Chair, future Chair, second by Member Stevenson. Any opposed to adjourning? Seeing none, that's it. Thanks, everyone. Next meeting, February 16th.
Bombshell.
Yeah. Just a little.